Good Monday, makers. Hope you all had a great weekend and are ready to check out some builds with me. Today, we're going to be looking at some really interesting things that have been shared by the community over the last week. Let's jump right in. First up is this elevated dog bed shared by Marilyn. They said they've got a camper and it looks like maybe a full size bed. And they said they were trying to have two humans and a dog all in the same bed. And it was just too much. They couldn't really all sleep well together. So, what Marilyn did was create a kind of elevated dog bed that, as you can see, is elevated above the foot of the bed. And this allows the people that are laying in the bed to have their feet underneath it. And then, as you can see, Lexi, the dog, is sitting on top and can stay comfortable and kind of stay out of the way so the owners can sleep underneath. And it looks like a really great build, just four verticals. Looks like some T connectors and some pipes that are just kind of placed, and the dimensions are made specifically so it can kind of stretch out the bed fabric. And it looks like an awesome solution, nice and simple, and gets the job done. Lexi looks like she's enjoying it, and I imagine Marilyn is too. Finally getting some good sleep, and everybody's comfortable. So awesome build. Thanks so much for sharing that. And it was a review on the T connector. We're glad that you had a good experience, and we appreciate the feedback. Next up is not a build, but something really cool from Carter. Apparently, they're planning some builds. I think they said they're going to be doing some, let's see, garden builds. Going to be doing a porch garden, and they're going to be making, I think, trellises maybe. Not entirely sure what they're making. They said they're going to share that soon. But in the meantime, they had to figure out how to get conduit home. So what Carter did was order an Uber XL, and the 4.9-star driver, Abdi, was up to the challenge and picked up the conduit and Carter and carried them both home. You can see here that Abdi was even accommodating and had a pillow or maybe a towel or something up front, to kind of protect the dash. And it looks like a lot of conduit. Must be planning some big projects, but looks like it got the job done. And Carter was happy to have the conduit at home so they could work on their project. And it's just super great, really cool. And they said they're going to start a checklist of all the cars that 10-foot lengths can squeeze into. So you want to add to that list if you have a cool story like that, then check out the link in the description and you can add that there. Also, all the builds, in case you didn't know, are linked down below if you want to check out any of them. But that was really cool. Just wanted to share that from Carter, and shout out to Abdi. And maybe be careful when doing that. Maybe message ahead of time and ask if they're okay. But I think Carter did that, and yeah, it turned out and worked out great. Got the conduit home, so that's great to hear. Next up is a build from Fritz, and this is a really cool storage build for all you audio and music lovers out there. This is a shelf. As you can see, it rolls around. It's got casters on the bottom. Looks like it has wrap on the pipes, or it's just painted black. And it looks like a really great build. It's actually got pallet wood on the shelf as the shelves, and it's stained. It looks awesome, contrasts really well, and looks really cool with the black pipes. And as you can see here, they're storing an old stereo system. They've got some CDs in there. They've got some records, record players, and it's just a really awesome build and organizes all of this music collection really well, and it looks really awesome. And yeah, you can see they've got verticals for one in each corner, and then they've got the pipes going across that are supporting the pallet wood. Then they added some different size shelves. Really, I guess this one and the one above it are about the same, and then the two down below are kind of split in the middle to have a separator between the records on each side. And then that's custom size for the dimensions of these bins to hold the CDs. And yeah, it just looks really awesome. Great build. And that's not all. They also built a small stand for their speaker. You can see the speaker in the background there. It's just four verticals, four 90-degree connectors to create this square or rectangle. And then they used some of the felt pads, which you guys probably know I love if you've seen any of the other videos. They're cheap and work great for stuff. They just got those at the top of the conduit, maybe on top of an end cap or something. And that's just going to protect the bottom of the speaker and then also help, I would imagine, with sliding, kind of keeping it from sliding off. Maybe not too much, but, at least it's protecting the bottom and keeping it from getting scratched up. And just looks like a really great place for this. They custom made the shelf and the speaker stand to fit in this corner. Just looks awesome. And it looks like maybe next to a fireplace or something. So, you can always build something custom to fit a space like this, which is great. You can customize the dimensions for whatever works for you. Yeah, really great builds. Thanks so much for sharing this. Here's a really cool sketch up of the build, which is always a good thing to have before you go into a project. Thanks so much, Fritz, for sending in those photos through email. We love seeing them. Next up is actually not a build. This is something that I shared after talking with a customer. I thought this was really interesting. So the customer I was talking to on the phone was building a really custom lamp or a sconce, and they needed to adapt a light mount that they had to the threaded pipe inserts. Now, the two that we have for 3/4 inch EMT are either 3/8/16 threads or 1/4 20 threads, and they wanted to be able to adapt their light mount to that. And I had this idea pop in my head. I wonder if something like this exists, and this is basically a female threads on this side, so you can thread in. I think he had a 1/4 28. It's a really fine thread. You could thread that in, and then it converts it and adds a stud to the end. That's a 1/4 20, so you'd be able to adapt it to the 1/4 20 threaded inserts. Thought that was really interesting and could be useful if you're doing something unique like this, and you need an adapter to be able to use the inserts and adapt, something really unique and custom to your conduit project. And this place, they actually make, I think, replacement parts for like bulldozers and farm equipment and other stuff like that. And apparently they've got just 100, I think like 150 of these. There's 6 pages, and I think they keep on going after that, of different threads in different sizes. You could go from like 1/4 20 to 3/8/16, which would be interesting. So yeah, just wanted to shout that out. Thought that was a pretty cool thing that you guys could keep in mind if you have any weird threads that you want to adapt to a conduit project with the 1/4 20 or 3/8/16 inserts. Next up is a build from Randy, and this is a rack that he built to sit on the front of their trailer camper. So they've got a camper here. You can kind of see there's the wall of it, and they had this space in between this box here. I'm not sure what that box is, but in between this box and the camper, they had this empty space. So he just built a simple rectangle rack that just goes inside this space. Looks like it bolts to the trailer rails with just some U-bolts, and that's secured in place there. Then he's, just used 90-degree connectors to build the rectangle, just a top rung and then a bottom rung. And then there's just T connectors and pipes going from side to side to just add those cross rails. And he said they just plan on putting dirty clothes or wet clothes or whatever it may be inside of this. And I would imagine, you could, bungee them down if you wanted to go down the road and maybe dry clothes. Don't know how well that would work, but I imagine it'd probably be okay if, secured them well enough. But looks like a great project, nice and simple. And if nothing else, it just keeps the wet clothes and the dirty clothes outside of the camper to let them dry off while you're inside. And you don't want any mildew smell or anything inside. So letting them dry outside in the sun and being able to sit on this rack is a really clever idea and a great way to keep them separate from inside the camper. So thanks so much, Randy, for sharing that. Great project. Next up is a build from Axel. We actually talked about this a while back, and this was a seat that he made. It was more of a universal swivel seat for different kayaks. He custom made it for his Bonafide, what is it, SS 127. And he shared some pictures a while back, and he recently posted the video as well. So if you want to make this exact swivel seat for your kayak, he shared a really great how-to tutorial on how to do that. And basically, it's got some pipes that go side to side, and the mount for this is actually really interesting. I think it's attached to this specific kayak. I'm not sure. I'm not too familiar with all the different kayaks and skiffs and things, but it looks like a great mount. And you actually just pull this lever, and it clamps over the conduit, which is cool. And he actually used a cutting board here to attach the swivel seat base to the conduit, which is really interesting and something to keep in mind. Whenever we did our dollar store hacks video, we mentioned cutting boards. I think we used a wooden one that we found at Dollar Tree in that video, but using a plastic one or some different materials and cutting boards that are made from different materials is a good thing to keep in mind for doing shelves or different builds that you need to add a flat surface. And if it's something like this where it's small, and you need to kind of convert your frame and then kind of adapt it to a smaller size. So he's just got the threaded base screwed into that cutting board, and then he's got a bolt running through the cutting board and through the conduit, as you can see there. And that's how he created the base. And yeah, just really awesome. There's a shot of the conduit that goes across. You can see where the holes drilled to attach the cutting board. And yeah, just a great project. Really cool thing to keep in mind if you're, have a kayak or a skiff or, even something else you want to add a seat to. This is a good thing to keep in mind, and definitely check out his YouTube video for a great tutorial. Thanks so much, Axel, for posting that. We really appreciate it. Next up is a build from Matthew, and he sent in this walkthrough of his epic duck blind. As you can see, there are a ton of connectors, all kinds of intricate bends. It's really amazing. Let's just get a walk around here. I love this because it's got the top panel, each individual one can pop up and kind of hinge separately and then lay flat. They're all independently hinging from each other, which is a great thing. If you just want to open one access and stand out of it, you can. You don't have to open the whole roof. And I think he achieved that by just using the shims over top of half-inch conduit, and then the actual top part, the panel is made with 3/4 inch. And I think it just hinges on that half inch, is probably just loosely connected there, or maybe he removed the friction band. Not entirely sure how he achieved the hinge, but I think that's a pretty good way to do it. You should be able to just remove the friction band the same way that we've talked about with the 3/4 inch hinge hack, where you just take the T connector friction band off. But nonetheless, there are a ton of connectors in this. Super amazing. There's no reason to try to break down all the individual connectors. I think he said he's going to be making a tutorial for this, or he's going to be selling these. Not entirely sure, but whatever he's going to be doing, it's awesome, and I wish him well, because it's a really great build and a great technique for people that want a duck blind like this. We saw a little bit. He had a light mounted to the front of it, and you can see in the picture, I think. Yep, you can see there's a light mounted to the frame, and I imagine there was probably some, fake grass and camouflage and other things around the framework as well before this. And I think even this front gate opens. So yeah, just all kinds of amazing stuff in this build. So thanks so much, Matthew, for sending in that video. It's great to see. And thank you for watching. Really appreciate you hanging out with us every week and checking out these builds. If you want to see any of these in more detail, like I said, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to share your build, you can post it in the community or in the Facebook group or email it to us. There's all kinds of different ways that you can share it with us, and we'd love to see it. Thanks everybody for watching. Hope you have a good week.